Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. There was a man who believed that life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. A man whose magnificent intensity was perceptible in the myriad hues of life. His passion for life is his legacy, our inheritance. Kunnankeril Kurvila Jacob was born on August 3, 1904 to Kunnankeril Jacob, a district munsif in Cherthala, and Rebecca Madhyalil.
Mr. Kurvila was my elder brother, and our age difference was about 20 years, and therefore more than a brother, he was also a father figure to all of us, and an example for us to follow. He was very strict, at the same time very helpful.
The Kunnankeril family was an illustrious family with a distinguished lineage. Even as dawn petaled around their Menon home, holding it in its center, Kurvila Jacob and his brothers were awakened by the tremulous murmur of the Menon river. The tenuous blue strands of water, crimped clouds, placid palms, the magical little town of Menon, with salty winds and daring dreams, corseted by simple pleasures, remained forever relics from that world of childhood wonder. There comes a time when it lies within us to shape the clay of our life into the sort of thing we wish to be. His entering the portals of CMS School Kottayam threw open an entire world of possibilities to learn, explore and grow. But there were many shadows along, upheavals, change, moments of darkness and despair, with the untimely loss of his mother when Kurvila Jacob was only 10 years old. With teachers who rallied in difficult moments to keep his spirits flying high, it dawned on Kurvila Jacob that the future belonged to those who believed in the beauty of their dreams.
He was interested in sports and games apart from studying, and he took part in athletics, he played football and other games.
His intermediate years at CMS College Kottayam saw a special bonding with his professors, whose nurturing love and heartwarming friendship remained an inspiration. The time and diverse creativity of these countless individuals touched his life, enabling him to understand how a teacher affects eternity. With his staunch belief that nothing is as real as a dream, Leeds was his chosen destination. But life willed otherwise. His father's retirement, coupled with the paucity of finance, created a future that was nebulous. Skeptical about his dream being transformed into a lasting reality, Kurvila Jacob was devastated. Turning inward, walking the pathway of faith was an experience of intense evolution. As the refrain of the hymn, "Lead according to thy will," wafted into the church, he was surrounded by a profound sense of serenity. It was an epiphanic moment, a moment that taught him to face the future with openness and trust, and ready to receive whatever the Creator had in store for him. It, however, turned out to be a fairy tale ending. An overjoyed parent, his father, solemnized the wedding of his son with Grace Mathai in August 1929 before Kurvila Jacob embarked on his journey to Leeds. The journey to Leeds remained an enriching experience. En route to Leeds, Kurvila Jacob wrote to his father,
"My dear father, the journey is much more pleasant than I had hoped. I was elected as Indian representative in the passengers committee. This appointment..."
The 2 years he spent in Leeds proved a period of tremendous transition. With a diploma and a master's in education, it was here that he learned what the world requires: Not a time of life, but a state of mind. A quality of imagination, a predominance of courage over timidity, an appetite for adventure over the life of ease.
He was in the Leeds college rowing team. In fact, he was the only Indian in that team.
It was a happy odyssey from Leeds, with Dr. Hogg, the principal of the Madras Christian College, inviting Kuruvilla Jacob for the post of headmastership. In 1931, a 26-year-old overjoyed Kuruvilla Jacob cast his anchor in Madras Christian College School. The distinction of being the first Indian headmaster, he found safe moorings in this esteemed institution.
He was good at assessing the work of every teacher in the school, and you will allot responsibility to teachers according to their abilities.
Believing in a glorious future, with hope and faith he pursued his journey, thinking, dreaming and working.
Mr. Jacob, although he was a stern schoolmaster type, he also had a lighter side. His interest in promotion of the magazine, a school magazine, promotion of excursions, and also encouraging the students to go to movies. For example, 60 Glorious Years, that was a story of Queen Victoria. And it has plenty of history in it. So Mr. Jacob said that all you people get a little more interested in history, therefore there's a block booking.
An educationist envisaging a paradigm shift, he evolved a fully integrated holistic pattern of education.
He was something quite different from the normal concept of a headmaster. Not a bookish person, not somebody who is all the time makes you think about scholarship and so on. He was a very imposing figure. He was a tall man, the way he dressed and carried himself, and he was really able to talk in equal terms with just about anybody.
What he passed on to me is the concept that there is no substitute for hard work. He used to call up sometimes when we don't fare too well, but when he said something to me, I had to accept, because right from the beginning he was something like parent, godfather, pleasant person, my protector. So when he said that I must work hard and I have to attend to classes, it went into my mind, and if later in life I have succeeded, it is largely the inspiration that he gave me, that I must work hard.
In 1947, when Madras Christian College moved to Tambaram, Kuruvilla Jacob persuaded the board to buy a property in Chetput, set in 28 acres of land, on which he built his ideal boys' school. His passion for gardening sent him hoeing the clay, waiting for the earth to burst into bloom, spreading its fragrance in 100 minds.
That campus was very bare. We together only we planted all the trees. He had a very large heart. He took everybody along with him. Very often he used to repeat, we are here because of the children. Children is not here because of us.
A man who believed that the only way to predict the future is to create it. He either found a way or made one. With an endless ability to inspire and a superior organizational culture, the school witnessed phenomenal changes. Reformulating academics to suit the reshaped ambitions of students, visual education was included as a component of the school curriculum.
He had modern ideas and he was far-sighted, and overall I think he was an architect of the present modern education, which I think should be very proud of him. Kuruvilla Jacob had one thing very clear in his mind. Well, gold medals are always there when you study well and when you do well. But everyone can't get a gold medal, and he knows that. But one thing that he was always trying to achieve was to make a man out of the boy studying in this school.
He gave us all the opportunities, plus he also
made the people know what is nature, because in the school premises we had a beautiful cage with all lovebirds, pigeons, and down going up the hostel we had a small crocodile park. I mean, these things, probably a man with a great vision, probably he thought that all these luxuries, the children, whether from any strata of society, which they would not get an opportunity. I think Kurula Jacob was really a great headmaster.
He gave us a lot of exposure by inviting so many foreign teams. We had Jesse Owens, the Olympian, coming in. We had a team of baseball players from the US called the American Yankees, who taught us a few things to our good players. And we had a mixture of students in our classes, people from the creamy layer who came to the school because it was worth studying here, and from the lower strata of society who came here because they were given the opportunity to study in our school.
We had 2 carpenter masters. They used to teach us carpentry. The first thing was planing a scale and taking it for yourself. That was something fantastic. You are hardly 9-10 years old and you start achieving in a small way.
The school could boast of an avant-garde naturalist museum, library, and a state-of-the-art physical education department. As a teacher, he often played the role of Aesop and Hans Christian Andersen, revealing truth through countless stories. A teacher who was truly tall in every sense. He did not open minds to the threshold of wisdom, but led every student to the gateway of his own mind.
Mr. Kurula's pet name was Baby, and we youngsters used to call him Baby Chine. But at the same time, we thought it was humorous because Baby later became the biggest in the family.
Life's lighter moments and love for music would transform the domineering headmaster with a daunting cane to a jubilant child every time he stopped to shake a leg or to throw in a tune.
When we were students in Madras, all the exams had to pass when teacher came to see us all riding on a donkey. Hey ho, away we go, donkey riding, hey ho, away we go, riding on a donkey. And when we said that riding on a donkey, all of us would bang the wooden floor with our shoes and make a thudding noise. He did not confine our education only to the textbooks prescribed, but he went outside. He insisted that we had good foundation in English, and that is what stood in good stead for us.
Sensitive towards the sufferings of his fellow human beings, Kurula Jacob believed that it is common qualities of conscience, honesty and trust that can change the world.
What really struck me about him was about his endeavor to inculcate this certain values like trustworthiness. Both wings of the school had groundnuts kept with a box into which the students put the money, and a list was put up giving the cost for quantities of this. I didn't hear of a single day when they said there was a shortage of money in them.
There used to be a thing called Menon Fund drama every year, and for which the students were acting and the students were told to sell tickets. So we used to go about all houses and at the end of every day collect so much amount. The next day there will be a list saying who collected the highest. So that really motivated us to sell more. Selling was taught by Mr. Kurula Jacob, I think, at a very young age.
One day he called me to his room and said, I think he must have read my mind. And then he told me, never make comparisons. Never compare yourself with X, Y or Z, including your brothers. Do what you can to the best of your ability. You will definitely succeed in life.
With these precious little lessons of life, he interwove the golden threads of love and trust with everyday experience.
One great lesson I learned from Mr. Kurula Jacob was, he said, have confidence in yourself. Don't feel that you have a visual impairment as a complex. Try to mingle with the boys and develop a sense of humor. If you do that, I am sure you will be successful.
Offering reassurance and comfort every day to the young people in his care, He was a part of their triumphs, trials and tribulations. And to the boarders, the hostel was just a home away from home.
It was a great experience living here, because the first time I think in Asia that hostel was constructed. Mr. Jacob was very particular that the only movable item in the cubicle should be the chair. Everything else was built in.
He was a very busy man and he used to travel wide, and whenever he was available he used to visit us, and he knew everybody by name.
The headmaster and his wife were ever ready to cherish with every one of their students all of life's seasons.
I always say that he was a headmaster with a human face. Such a warm feeling I can remember. The time when I was sick and the headmaster came down to see me because he heard I was sick, and he saw me, he asked me a few questions, and after 5 minutes he went away. Next thing I knew was his wife, Mrs. Jacob, arrived on the scene. And she didn't say anything to me. She started, our cupboards used to be next to our beds in the hostel. And she opened my cupboard and took a few changes for me in clothing, and said, right, you're coming and staying at home. I couldn't believe what she said, and I didn't know what had happened. She said, no, you come home, you're not well, and you can get well and come back. And she just took me home. Particularly when you're sick and depressed and homesick, to be taken to your headmaster's house and looked after by his wife, and the children were there, and you were almost well immediately.
Because they believed that the capacity to care is the thing that gives life its deepest meaning and significance. There comes that mysterious meeting in life when someone acknowledges who we are and what we can be, igniting the circuits of our highest potential.
I miss him very much.
A headmaster like Mr. Jacob, that I always feel made us what we are.
A lot of what we are later in life we owe to the school, and a lot of what the school was obviously was owing to Mr. Jacob.
In all, we really miss him. We miss him in this institution too.
About this centenary celebrations, he would have really enjoyed it. He likes gatherings, attending functions, but if you had asked him, he would have said there's no need for that.
A giant among headmasters, he was conferred the Padma Shri in 1970 in recognition of his invaluable contribution to education in India. A man who risked more than others thought was safe, dreamt more than others thought was practical, and expected more than others thought was possible. The story of a man who could remember the name of every student for over 30 years. A man who touched lives. Vivid are those memories, and as they say, when God took the fragrance of a flower, the majesty of a tree, the gentleness of morning dew, the calm of a quiet sea, the beauty of a twilight hour, the soul of a starry night, the laughter of a rippling brook, the grace of a bird in flight, the tender care of an angel, the faith of a mustard seed, the patience of eternity, the depth of a child's need. Then God fashioned from these things a creation like no other, and when his masterpiece was over, he called it simply Headmaster Kuruvilla Jacob.